Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Four Friends podcast, where the four of us will be discussing everything from friendships to family ties, self love, money, career, and beyond. The four of us are also Hmong, and so we'll be sharing how our experiences about being Hmong has played a role in shaping who we are. And so, with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so quick shout out from Ponyo there, Hula's dog.
That's my
Um,
dog.
so yeah, it's been a few weeks since we last met. I think maybe a little bit over a month. So the plan is to have this on every 2 weeks cadence, and we'll try our best. But we're also all pretty busy, so we might miss some weeks here and there. But yeah, that's the plan going forward. And since we last met, there has been a lot of shift for all of us lately. And so I thought that we can start off with just a roundtable of how we're doing and what's going on in each of our lives. And so with that, maybe Hua, you can kick us off.
Okay, hi everyone. Hua, just in case if you didn't join the first episode, but I'm Hua, and you might hear my dog because I have a dog. So recently, I committed, you guys. I signed up to do marathon training, so I'll be running my first marathon in November, hopefully. So that's been like
Why hopefully?
the big thing because I'll probably trade, and then we hope that I could actually finish it. But that is the goal to
Oh,
finish it. So that's been the major, like, I guess I was contemplating the last time we met. I was like contemplating, but I officially signed up, and they took my money. So that's been like the new update for sure. And just working, just trying to relax, spend some family time. So that's really mainly it. I've just been focused on my running essentially,
how's
waking
that
up
coming
early.
along?
It's actually really brutal waking up early. Like this morning, we were meeting up at 5:30 a.m. to go run, just like to run a couple miles. But that meant that like I had to wake up at like 4:30, 4:40, get ready, and then get myself to the place we we're meeting. So yeah, like just little things like that. But because in Fresno it's hot, so if I don't wake up any earlier, I'm gonna just have to die in the heat and suffer. Which I'm gonna have to do a couple runs like that. But yeah, it's just been an adjustment, just having to wake up like early and then forcing myself to run. So
Oh, my nephew is doing that same marathon.
oh, is he?
Um, yeah, he
Awesome.
is. So, I'll come see both of you guys.
Oh yay,
I'll come
yay.
cheer you guys on. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's me.
All right, hold
Nice.
on. Now I know why you need a coffee this morning.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
So why don't we go to Chow next, and then I'll go, and then Billy would be our last one. Yeah.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
go Chow.
Let's see what's new. From the last time we talked, I wrapped up a class. So for work, I took a Arctic engineering class so that I can get licensed in Alaska because we have some customers in Alaska, and so it was a 2 week class. It was short, and in the moment, it was more stressful. But after looking back, it was not as bad as I anticipated. But it was just hard getting into the studying and listening to somebody teach and being present for like a full hour or an hour and a half. That was a transition, but wrapped up, passed. Now I can get licensed in Alaska, so that has been what's new. And then lately, we've been every weekend we've been taking baby to playgrounds. So we've been looking up
Mm.
different coffee shops. So we've been grabbing coffee, going to a playground. Mainly, I drink my coffee while he chases her around until I'm done with my coffee. But I think that's been a change in our usual.
Oh, that's fun. Was your class online?
Yes, yes, it was all online, and
Oh, okay.
thankfully it was like I forgot what the word is, where you can watch the class as you go. So then I can do. Oh, there you go. That's the word.
Asynchronous.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was able to do
Mhm.
part of it at work and then part of it after work.
She doesn't
Okay,
talk well
cool.
about herself. It's kind of a big deal because she could seal for Alaska now.
Okay.
It is a
That
big
is a big
deal.
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, cool. I guess I'll go. So I think last time we talked, and I was like basically saying that I wanted to quit my job. And I did quit my job. So I've been unemployed for, this is my 4th week. So I've been unemployed for the last 4 weeks. And it has been kind of like uncomfortable in the beginning. And now I'm kind of like getting more used to not being being unemployed. And so, yeah, I'm kind of going through that. But I also feel like I'm hitting somewhat of a wall where I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. And I like started writing out all the things that I want to do, all the goals that I have, things I want to learn. And I realized that I'm not like really good at, holding myself accountable. Like I feel like when I have these goals for myself and there's like no external party to be, holding me accountable for it, it makes it really hard for me to want to like be motivated. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to implement accountability so that I do what I say I'm going to do. So that's that. And then I did have one interview, well, 3 interviews for a company for a role. And today I heard back from them. They didn't necessarily offer me the job, but they also we just kind of did like a pulse check on like whether salary and like basically compensation, if that aligned. And I tried to negotiate, so we'll see what they say. They were like, it's for a contracting role. So they said that they don't know if there's like wiggle room there. Um, but I'm trying to figure, like, I think my thing is like, I think I applied for this role that basically is like half the numbers of years of experience that I have. So of course, like I know that like, the pay is going to be a lot lower, but then I also did research and like the market rate is higher than what they posted. And so I'm trying to negotiate to actually get to market rate. And when I was like talking to the recruiter, Nick was listening to our conversation, and then he got all like in my head because he was like, we shouldn't have said that because maybe now they're not going to give you the job and you're going to lose it. And I'm like, yes, but if I don't ask, like closed mouths don't get fed. You know what I mean? And so now he's like got in my head, and I'm like, the takeaway from the conversation with the recruiter was that she was gonna go see if they can, they have flexibility in like the salary. It's hourly rate, so it's not even salary, So she was gonna go see if they could have some flexibility there. But yeah, now he's all getting in my head because he's like, you should have never said that. I was like, so what should I have done? Just to blindly take what they give me? Like that's not usually how it works. You know what I mean? And so I think like, it's so like when you have like I'm so used to just making decisions for myself and being so decisive on like what I know that I want and how I go about doing it. But like since being in a relationship, because I wasn't in a relationship for a long time, but now like I have Nick and he's like constantly around, and so he's giving me feedback, and now he's getting in my head when usually I wouldn't like think about things from that perspective. So now I feel like I had to like defend what I said to the recruiter, and he was like, my only worry is they're gonna take it away. And I'm like, part of me is like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but part of me is also very stubborn, and I'm like, okay, well, take it away then. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
I'm like, take it away then. Go with the other candidate. That's how it works. I realized that when I throw something out there, they might counter and they might take it away, and that's the risk I have to take. So, anyways, long story short, I'm just like I feel like there's a connection between me not wanting like okay, so I was talking to Claude about this because AI, I've been talking to Claude a lot. So I feel like there's a connection between this whole accountability thing and also me not really wanting to share with people what I'm doing because I don't want other people's opinion. So I don't know if you guys have that, but anyways, I'm kind of like going through that where I'm like, okay, I need accountabilities like I need to have accountability towards other to be motivated, but I don't want to tell people because I don't want people to give me advice I'm not asking for. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at. But that's been what I've been going through these past few weeks. Okay, Billy, your turn.
Sounds like it's a good sign. Yeah. For me, I work at a state school, so we just wrapped up the semester. So we just closed out last semester, trying to get ready for the fall, and orientation starting up. That's work. That's work. On the personal end, trying to apply for grad school. So I started
What?
up. Yeah, I started up my master's program a while back. I actually finished up all the classes, and I never went back to finish it because I took on a position over at Chico, which from Chico from Sonoma is about 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours? Yeah, 4 hours away. So I never went back. And then there was a paperwork snafu where I owed like $2,000, and so that never got paid off until like partway through. Anyhow, trying to start that process. I'm at the last stages. Guys, got to finish up my personal statement and then put in the application. So hopefully good news eventually.
Wait,
Hopefully
so what's the
for
master's program for?
it's in education.
Oh, okay.
So it's a program in education, but it's not attached to a teaching credential. So it's not necessarily like teaching. It's more working in education. So
Mm.
that's the plan. The backup is if I need to redo all my classes, I'll apply for a program over at Sac State instead, so that I don't have to travel. So we'll see where that goes, but hopefully starting that process, so that's something we get moving towards the masters in the fall. So that's the hope. Let me see here. I
Oh.
made some
When's
notes.
the deadline, Billy?
Just
The deadline?
it's a moving deadline, and Sonoma's
Oh, okay.
in this weird spot because they merged with Cal State East Bay and San Francisco, and so they're technically like one institution now instead of three because of cuts in enrollment. And
Mm.
so I'm hoping that works in my favor because I really need to just go back and finish, but we'll see what they say because a lot of the folks that I was working with, they're retired or gone now. So we'll see
Mm.
if I pick up where I left, or if I'll need to start up farther behind, which means I'll probably be looking elsewhere. See what they say. But yeah, I'm hoping to be done with that within 2 weeks. So letters of rec and things of the sort, had to get that aligned. But that just recently happened, and then yeah, I mean, with baby, just trying to be a dad and clean up the backyard. That's been the big project. I have a couple of trees that I'm gonna go down. Maybe it's trash day tomorrow, which means we bring the trash out tonight. And then our organics bin comes. This is the fun, exciting stuff that you do as
Adult.
as an adult now, I guess. But yeah,
Like you guys are
just
gonna do
trying to,
composting?
yeah, or not
Oh,
not not composting, but
cool.
But
organics.
filling up the organics bin.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're in, a, we're in
okay.
a good spot where they actually pick it up every week. I know that there's parts of Sacramento where they only pick it up every 2 weeks.
Oh,
And so,
Dude,
yeah,
those organic bins hella smell though.
yeah,
They
yeah,
hella
Yeah.
stink. So just be prepared for that.
yeah. Especially if you have like an idiot spouse who thinks he's a farmer and yeah.
Yeah, we have chickens and a dog.
we for now we'll see.
Oh, right, and doves. Yeah.
Yeah, and a pair of doves. But yeah, that's mainly been it. I'm trying to get a hold of this parenting thing. We can't figure it out. We were just saying earlier, baby woke up at two this morning. I
Yeah.
couldn't go back to sleep. It's fine when you're touching your phone, you don't feel that tired, but then when you gotta sit
Oh.
behind a desk for 8 hours, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep yesterday. So
yes.
dealing with that.
Mm, okay.
That's my struggle with
Awesome.
the running. I wake up early and then I'm like, I'm exhausted now. And I'm like, right, because you woke up extra early today. So
You're mentioning like 5. I'm up at 5. Like I let the dog out, and I'm like, man, I could be running. I could be running, or like walking him. We'll see.
yeah, it takes an adjustment, honestly. Even just walking my dog, it takes a while Sorry, I had to go earlier because my dog was barking. She's so needy, so I had to go let her come into the room.
Is she in the room now?
Yeah, she's in the room. Yeah,
She's so needy.
she is
Yeah,
needy.
our dog's 6 months now, and so you could start taking him out. I can take him down the street, down a couple of houses before he gets a little like, because there's a lot of smells that he's not used to being housed inside for the first 6 months of his life. So he gets a little stir crazy, and then I have to turn back so I can get a hold of him. So it's still a work in progress right now.
Have you guys been at your spot for a year now?
2. Oh,
It's
coming
been
up
2
August,
already?
it'll be 2 years.
It's
Yeah.
so long.
We moved, and then a
Oh.
week later, I had Liana. So however old she is, that's how I know how long
Yeah.
we've lived
You're
here.
right.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You're right. Because
She's
I
almost
remember
2?
Yeah. By August, it'll be after August, it'll be 2. Yeah.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, I'm ready to have her now because we're done moving in. And then
Yeah.
Yeah.
My big mouth, I said it, and she literally came that night.
That night, yeah.
So it's true, whatever you say.
We just finished her crib. We
Yeah.
finished building her crib.
Yeah, side story. So Auntie Vane came and she was building the dresser and helping me put clothes in. And Auntie Liz came and she was helping make the bassinet, right? We've only been living here for a week. And that day after they fit, I'm like, oh, look, she has a bed. Yeah, we're ready. She can come tonight. And then Billy looked at me. I'm like, I'm just joking. And then bam, 3 a.m. Yeah. We had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
That's funny. I think I feel like I'm frozen. Did I freeze for a second?
You did. And you're
for a
frozen
little
again
bit,
right
but we
now.
still heard you.
Okay.
You're back.
Okay, you're back. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully it's okay. Okay. So awesome. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Should we get into some of the topics that we have?
Let's go.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Cool. So this one is I feel like this one is kind of like just focused on women, Hmong, like just like being Hmong and women. So Billy, I did come up with a question that also is like targeted towards you and your thoughts on it. And then maybe after that we can just kind of like have free discussion. I only really had like one question. So okay, so the question is, and the topic is being, what was the topic, Chow? Because I know this was something that you came up with. Like,
No, well, hold on. When we were together.
oh, okay.
The way
Value?
value as a Hmong woman, or was it? Yeah, like
Self-worth? What is it?
I think value as a Hmong woman, how you're seen if you're not married versus you're
Mhm.
married.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the question that I came up with is, so in Hmong tradition, a woman's worth has been tied to marriage and her role in a family. How did you come to define your own value outside of that expectation? So Chow, do you want to start?
Sure. Let's see. I think for me, I mean, I did grow up pretty traditional, but my parents value education. So I think that was the route that I took. Was I was kind of an overachiever growing up, and so I think when I did well academically, it made me feel as if, even though I'm lacking in the Hmong traditional sense, it made me feel as if I like my self-worth. It made me feel like I had value because I'm able to achieve growing up, because my parents valued that at the time. And with me doing well academically, they also gave me a little bit more like they were very sheltered, but they gave me a little bit more room to explore. Like I'm like, oh, I want to go on this trip with school, and they'll be like, yeah, but if I don't think I did well academically, or if I was like, oh, I'm going to go on a trip with friends, most likely it would have been a very long conversation where they wouldn't approve. And so I think for me, my outlet was education. And I think growing up, I enjoyed school. Like elementary, I was the youngest of 6. And so I remember when all my siblings went to school, I really, really wanted to go to school. And I'd go with my mom to pick up my brother when he was in kindergarten. And I'd watch them play like Duck Duck Goose before they get released. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to school. And so I enjoyed like elementary, and I think for me that was how I combated being a Hmong woman internally. Yeah, and then
Do you
I lost
feel
my train of
like, do you feel, and this is for open conversation, right? So
Mhm.
anyone else chime in.
Yeah.
We don't have to just like answer the question and keep it to that. But
Mhm.
do you feel like you observed your mom like play a certain role in the family, and then you felt like you had to also mirror that yourself as you like got married?
Yes, as I got married, yes, because my parents hosted a lot of parties, and my grandparents lived with them for a long time, and I saw my mom like take care of the whole family, and my mom also worked, and so both my parents growing up, they were always working, and so my grandparents watched us, but when there was like parties and stuff, mom was kind of like the person who was kind of um, dictating what to do or how to like cut stuff, and then and she had like all like the materials you need, like big pots of pans, spoons, and forks. She had like everything all prep and organized when we need it, like we have it ready. And she just knew on the top of her head, like how much stuff to buy, And so I think getting married and we have a house, we've hosted a couple parties where I'm like, okay, what did mom do? And thankfully, mom was nearby. So I'm able to call her, but hey,
Yeah.
mom, is this like if I buy this much, is it enough? So I'm able to have that conversation. But definitely I think there is pressure and seeing the way my mom was as a nya, there is pressure that okay, as a nya, am I doing okay, because at the same time I'm doing it for me but also like for my parents, like I don't want them to look like a bad parents who didn't raise a daughter to
Mm,
be a good nya. And I think that's also part of it is you love your parents. For me, I'm like, okay, I don't need to be a good nya, I could be a good person. But they're like, okay, well, my parents, there's certain things that I still would do traditionally because I respect my parents and I don't want them to be, or I don't want, people to say things negatively about them. And so I think there's different parts of, or different battles, or I can't find the words, but yeah.
I
These
I
I
hear
these are
you.
some giant shoes to fill.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
she,
My mom,
she
wow.
yeah.
grew up under that shadow, and
Yeah,
so she thinks this is normal. But
yeah.
mom's a superhero. Yeah.
And a part is what my mom actually, because she does so much that like as there's three of us, three girls. She didn't really force us to do anything. And I know the first time she tried showing me how to kill a chicken, I'm like, Mom, I'm never doing this. I'm like, I'll pluck everything, but you can kill it. So she was like, okay, if you don't want to learn it, you don't have to, So I can't do that part, but she never forces us to do things. And so
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of time because I'm spoiled in that way, I don't know how to cook, like especially for a big party. So that is a current struggle is not knowing how to cook for a party when you're hosting the party. Yeah.
There's also a lot of trials and tribulations that are like a current Hmong house versus us like establishing a new Hmong house. So
Hmm.
we don't have extra fish sauce, extra hoisin oyster sauce and
Yeah.
stuff that some of these other houses have. And so yeah, but when that happens, I know she beats herself up pretty bad, and I'm like, we'll just run to the store.
Yeah.
You want to cut down on that. You don't want that to be your fallback plan, but
Hmm.
yeah, I like every now and then it's okay versus like for everything, of course. But yeah,
But yeah, we
You're
can
doing the
throw.
best that you can do.
Oh, thank you, thank you. But yes, we could throw to one of you two to answer this question. Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
actually wanted to go back to one of your points about how you're like,
Mhm.
yes, I'm trying to be like this modern person and like and you know, coming to the conclusion that like I don't have to be a perfect cook and I don't have to know how to
Mhm.
host these parties perfectly. But then, we're kind of used to going to these elaborate like these parties, these cultural parties, right? And like every weekend and they're hosted by our aunts or uncles or our parents that in turn you feel some kind of responsibility and it reflects upon you when you are now married, especially in a Hmong
Mhm.
family, to be like, how come
Yes.
I can't host it like that? Or
Mhm.
wow, so apparently I didn't learn anything. Where in the community, it's like, well, it was the mother's duty, duty to teach my child how to properly like host these things as like one, yeah, right.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like in a way we're trying to stray away from like these certain like roles and identities, but then it comes back to like in our culture it's going to come back, and it's not just a reflection on me, it's a reflection on like my whole family, right? So
Mhm.
I think sometimes we're torn between those. So I just wanted to bring that point up. So to answer the question, right? To answer the question, it's kind of like my parents are very traditional too. And they also very much valued education. Um, but I think they were torn. They were torn between like, how do I teach my kid to be like really academically driven, but at the same time, I also want her to know how to like be a good nya. So oftentimes, like, later on, like I was one of the first few, like, well, actually, I was the first one in my family to start taking AP classes, right? The advanced placement courses in high school. And my older siblings, like, because I have 4 of them who are older than me. Overall, let's backtrack. I have 10 siblings. There's 11 of us. So my 4 older siblings didn't take AP classes, right? Um, and so at night, it's kind of like we like to have family dinners. And after everyone ate, it's kind of like, okay, now we're going to clean the table. Like all the girls are going to come wash the dishes. They were supposed to have help with the cooking, all that stuff. But then for me, it was kind of like, oh, I have to go do homework, mom. And then she's like, well, come do some chores first. But, the advanced placement courses, there's just like a lot of homework. And then, I was doing all these other sports as well in high school. So my parents and I, we clashed a lot just because I'm like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be academically successful or do you want me to do chores? Like, I can't do both, And then I think they were also torn because, oftentimes all of us, we have big families and, lalu saki, right? Which is, everyone's gonna like feel like, hey, they're not chipping in. Like, how come I get to do all the dishes and she's over there in her room, So my parents were kind of like navigating that whole like like this new world in America is a little different. Like everyone has to go to school and then, everyone's not just necessarily learning how to become like a nya, or I think honestly even present day, like a lot of modern Hmong American women aren't necessarily taking that route of, okay, I'm going to go like start a family. People are working and focusing on their careers. They have an education and they don't necessarily need to be married to have that kind of like, oh, okay, if something happens, right? I think that I'm like going off on a tangent now, right? But I feel like as like Hmong parents, like their goal is to like make sure that their child is taken care of. So that's where they're like, oh, yeah, chimo pilu ning chai, chimo kulo ke chimo like look up, right? Or it's just kind of like, oh yeah, you have your own family or someone's gonna take care of you because you don't know what like your brother or sister may do with their life and they get married and then they have their spouse and then that's like that's an anomaly. We can't, account for them. But if you have a spouse, then at least you have someone for yourself and you start your family. So anyways, that's kind of like my experience with my family and my parents and navigating this new I guess. So I think for us first generation like college students too, that's like a whole new world in itself with like our Hmong our Hmong parents who are like first generation immigrants or refugees or because of the war displacement. So yeah, clashing a lot.
Yeah. I would say, I think for me, like, I don't know if like your guys' parents would say this to you guys, but like I feel like growing up, I would hear like, oh, the Hong Kong and stuff like that. And I think for me, I've always been very argumentative. Is that right? Is it argumentative? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've always been argumentative. And so, like, my response to them has always been like, okay, I'm never getting married. I'm never having kids. So, like, get off my back. And, like,
Me
even
too,
though
Victoria.
Yeah, I honestly was such a bad like daughter because I just like did whatever I wanted, and I still do whatever I want. So,
You're not bad.
I think so. But yeah, I think because like even though I have like 7 siblings, we have like large age gaps. And so like my brother Jack and I, we are closer in age because he's 4 years older than me. And so like there was a lot of me like telling my family that whenever they asked me to do something, I would always be like, okay, what about him? What about him? And so I do feel like I could see the difference in how we were treated, even though my parents didn't really like treat us differently, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
like my parents like never, I think we've all heard of stories where like the parents would just favor the sons. Like my parents never did that to extreme. It was more like I think they were trying to like teach me how to be a good nya or how
Mhm.
to, have like life skills, which I'm like now I'm very grateful for.
Mhm.
Yes.
But I think because there wasn't like a huge difference in how they treated us, I also feel like I didn't really hold that, like I didn't let this like Hmong woman standard hold me back in any way, because as you guys know, I'm like probably sometimes too confident. And so, that like has been both like great for me from a career perspective, but also just overall life perspective. But, I've also had to like humble myself at times. Like it also has like taught me how to be more humble. So yeah, I would just say that like I've never let it really define me in any way. And even though I know that like at the end of the day, like there are certain things that my dad feels more comfortable going to my brothers for, and that they still hold my brothers to like those traditional values or those like things that we all know like the guys are responsible for, right? Like in our community, like which is like like the funeral stuff and like just showing up and being like present in the community and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like even though my parents hold my brothers more accountable to those responsibilities, I still show up just because I like, for me, I also see it as like my responsibility for just like if I show up, then I'm there to support my parents, and then when we are in times of struggle, people are going to remember that even though
Yep.
I'm a daughter, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Yes. That
yeah,
totally makes sense.
I feel like I never really let that bother me too much, although I was definitely vocal about it when I was younger.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Me too. That's why there's this term go low, right? So my parents used to say, no, no, go low, or they're like
Mhm.
just joking around, like, oh, we don't want you to be that. So, learn
Oh
these things.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, well, you and I are definitely what they would consider ngolo because we're
Yes, we
like
are.
unmarried, we're in our
Mhm.
30s, like
Yep, definitely we are. So yeah.
yeah, but it's definitely different generation, different time. Like honestly, my mom does not pressure me at all to get married or have kids because I think she has seen like how I've been able to live my life for myself and
Mhm.
how I've had like a really full life and have had a lot of experiences because I didn't get married young.
Mhm.
Like I think she has seen that, and sometimes I think like I feel like my mom, she she like she in a way I feel like she lives through me
Mhm.
because she would have
Mhm.
been such a badass woman if she was
Aw,
born in
yeah.
modern day. Like literally, my mom is
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but like even though the man is technically like head of the household, my mom was the one that like made like we have our house because of my mom. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
she's like
Yeah.
the hard worker, and so she's like a hustler. And I feel like if she was a modern day woman, like her life, she would probably like live a very similar life to what I have, right? Like
Mhm.
career oriented woman. And so yeah, I feel like my parents have really changed over time, and there's like less, for at least my mom, there's less focus of her like pressuring me to get married. It comes more from my dad where he feels like just similar to what you were saying, Hua, like I think our parents feel like when we're not married then our life is not complete and it's like not whole, because we don't have like someone else there.
Right.
So
Mhm.
But I'm sure your mom or like also a lot of parents like from their generation are seeing like, oh, like just even accepting or acknowledging like, oh, like they're not married, but it's okay because, right now society and our environments aren't like necessarily the same as in the past because obviously back in Laos they're used to like, oh, we need the men to go like chop wood, whereas like obviously I can't chop wood. Like I don't have that capability. So yeah, obviously if I was in Laos, I would need like some like strength to like get
Right.
some work done, but here, we outsources a lot of stuff and it's different. It's different.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I
Absolutely.
also grew up with that too, where oftentimes it ended with like, or like, oh, look, it was always ending with something like, you need to do it this way because, my mom would paint these different scenarios. Or they'll have the comparison. Yeah, yeah, it's like, oh, let's just say you got a really communicative, like a good mother-in-law who's like kind and willing to teach you, then she'll teach you. But if you get one who's really passive aggressive, all these scenarios, even just about eating candy, you guys. I don't know if you guys have those experiences. My mom's like, it's like we love chips and candy. So she's like, you need to like discipline yourself not to like go fight and because let's just say later on, those are base instincts and they go get the candy and you go like, so I don't know, but as kids, you know how like they do like the hooply keep they plate, and there's
Oh
like
yeah.
candy. My mom, she didn't let us go get it. Like she was like, do not go. You are not gonna go. So we never went and grabbed the candies because she's like, you need to not go run off to do that. And then also like later on when you're gonna, and it was even just for like the girls, it was for the boys too. But overall, she's like, I don't want you to be old later and let's say someone got some candy and then you so like it always end up with something like, oh, like you have to be like demure, you have to be disciplined, you have to
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
be self-controlled and stuff like that. But obviously, like you, Victoria, that's why we're probably friends. I always tell
Well,
my mom.
okay, so I feel like you bring up a like interesting point, and it just made me think about like, and I feel like I'm gonna say something controversial, but whatever.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so you guys ever go to like family gatherings, and then like at the end you pack things for people to take home, right? And
Yeah.
then you guys ever see people who like didn't even show up to help, but then they packed so much stuff to go home?
Yeah. See, my mom, she also told me, do not go pack food unless the host specifically packs it and hands it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff
Yeah.
like that, to be like a good,
Update, yeah.
respectable person, so it's not like you were there just for the food. Like you were there literally genuinely to go help and support and be a community member, not there for the stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
now as an adult, I'm like, okay, yo, what's up with that? Like,
For sure. Like that's what exactly what your mom taught you is right. Cause then, like we've all seen it where people show up, they're not even there to help. They come to eat and then they pack the most food to go. And it's like,
Yeah.
people see that stuff.
We talk about these
or
people.
yes,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
especially, oh yeah, like oh, 别妈妈别母 and then like oh, like sometimes usually among people, the host is nice. The host offers like oh, mundi kacha bitch so no, or they're just like oh, okay, I'm gonna go pack. It's like, dude, it's better if you just leave instead of like packing the food because now it makes it seem like you kind of just dirty the water there to be like, oh yeah, like obviously we're all here to support you, but then also I'm gonna feed myself too, whereas everyone else is still hungry and waiting for food. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so Billy, I have a question for you. Same topic, but like different angle. So what were you taught or what did you observe about what makes a woman valuable and how has that changed now that you are a husband and father?
Mm, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
I had asked her if she cooks and stuff because some of these things do rub off on you.
Yes.
Because like, like I was telling Chow, like I don't need my wife to like cook and clean and do all the work, but like it is a gauge. It is a gauge. Like how's because asking that question is essentially like what do you do at parties, because I'm not there, and how close are you with your parents or at the house, what kind of life did you live, so there is that portion of it, but then yeah, I mean with this Momika lens, that I'm viewing the world, you know, I there is like a different I don't know how to say it, like slant different things that I'm screening for, because it's like, yeah, I don't need somebody who's like great at child rearing. I don't think we're gonna have like 14 kids like my parents had. You know, so there's these things where it's also like you know, cooking and cleaning, because you could technically, like, there are restaurants, there's like, it's easier to, you don't have to kill a whole cow to have steak anymore. And so, like, just taking that into consideration, it's weird because I do have the influences of my parents, but like, it's there, but then it's also transposed with this American lifestyle. Um, yeah, yeah, because I would like to teach my daughter some of these things. Being a girl dad right now, I would like to teach her some of these things, but also some of the things that like we taught boys, like traditionally teach boys. I was privileged because we had my oldest sister, and then there was four boys. And my oldest sister got married at about 16, so she was out of the house, which means that we had to do a lot of the household chores and help around. So we grew up
Mm.
with kind of being more well-rounded, and that turned out to be a blessing. But when you grow up in that, you just think like everybody knows how to do this, and then, like, you know, you
Mm-mm.
talk to other boys and they don't sweep, or they don't wash the dishes because that's not like a boy thing to do. You're like, what? You know, because then fast forward, like in
Yes.
college, like what, you know, like you have your own dishes. Like, what are you gonna eat if you always got to go out, and how are you gonna save anyhow? See, I my OG voice comes out every now and then. Um, yeah, really, I don't have the answer yet. I just have like an idea, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like in terms of kind of some of these things that y'all have talked about, in terms of making sure that she's able to take care of herself, and that she doesn't need you know, anyone else, but at the same time, like, if she were to find someone to make her life better, it could be a good thing. And then making sure that you're bringing something into relationships versus just, you know, because there's a difference between, in terms of take me as I am, I don't need to change, versus like we're both work in progress and we can come together and try to do the best we can, because that's my view of the world as an adult right now. Just, you know, you do your best, and it'll be okay.
I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
article good
Go ahead,
point. I
Tom.
was saying one thing I noticed about Billy growing up. I mean, not growing up, dating is that um
I'm still growing up.
no, it was that yes, it was mainly you boys home, but also I think you moving away to college and living on your own, like you noticed things. Like I remember we had a party at my house, or then and the guys are in the room playing, and I think they're playing cards or something, and then the girls are in the kitchen, and we're kind of wrapping down, but we heated up food again, and then we were into conversation, and we weren't looking at the stove, and the pot was like I think it was about to overflow, and then Billy hops in and turn it off, And then my auntie had made a comment like, "Oh, because Billy lives on his own, so he noticed this thing." He was like, "My husband, which is my uncle, like, your mom, because my two uncles have lived with us for a long time." And then he was like, "Yeah, because my husband lives with your mom, and she always does the cooking, so he doesn't notice these things." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's true." Like, with you living on your own and having to providing, cooking, clean, doing all that for yourself. I think you also have a slightly different lens as a Hmong man because I'm
Yes.
gonna generalize, but I think a lot of Hmong men live at home, or I don't know, I know, or like the ones that I know, and
Yes.
so I think for the ones that
Yes.
who do move out and experience that, I think it is a little different. Yeah.
Or
We
they
have a
don't
word for
ever
that.
leave home
Oh
What
yeah,
was that for?
or they never leave home.
Oh,
Yeah,
until they get married, and then like, hey, maybe we're running out of space. I don't know. And then
even
Mm-hmm.
then.
even then, like, now as like the very traditional thing, right? Like they'll say stuff like, "Oh, like, see, that's also shun. It's like to be a good nyat. Like, it's all these things. Like, you have to be okay living with a big family and taking care of the whole family. And I feel like the standards for like a modern Hmong woman, if you're gonna like really do like all the traditional stuff, the bar just is like so high. We're like, oh yes, obviously we want you to be educated, and we want you to bear the children, take care of the children, and then help feed my kid, like my son, right? Like, traditional mom roles, like, right, and then take care of the household, and then on the weekends go family gatherings and parties, show up for the community. Like, it's a lot, like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I think this kind of like, it kind of like goes, I feel like we're kind of like getting into like the dating territory because like,
Yeah.
I do feel like what you were talking about, Hua, is like my biggest fear is to be like the primary like household like caretaker, primary family caretaker, and then at the same time I also have to financially support my family and then do the emotional work in the relationship because and like regardless of whether you date someone who is like Hmong or not, like just in general, I do feel like women tend to do the emotional labor in the relationship. And that's like my biggest fear is like I have to do everything. Like I don't want to do everything, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
think,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel like that's part of the reason why, like, we are, like, when you're, like, older, I mean, we're not that old, but, we're, like, in our 30s, like, we know more. And so, like, we're turned off to things easier, you know?
Right. Or how like you were saying that, like, because we have these kind of like responsibilities, or even for Billy learning or getting to do a lot of the chores, it's like, why are we doing this? But then now as an adult, you tend to like, it's a appreciation, like, oh, thank goodness we did all these things, because now I do know how to fend for myself, you know? And so for me, I feel like creating that identity for myself to be like, I'm still mom, but my values lie in a different area and focuses on something other than like, oh, my life purpose is to like get married, which oftentimes like the mindset is like, oh yeah, like the highlight of your point is like when you start having a family, and then like, yeah, that's the end goal, where like you have a family and then it's going to continue carrying the name on. But I think for me personally, it's kind of like I just want to provide like my family and friends, like that support, and just have a good life. And if it means that I find someone, then yeah. But it's like not feeling like I disappointed my family or like my parents, especially because my whole life it's always like, oh yeah, we're raising you to be like the perfect daughter-in-law, like, or sister-in-law, or
Hmm.
whatever it is. And essentially, even like when you get like married in Linduoka, right, which like they're lecturing you, like they essentially say stuff like, oh well, now you're not like our daughter anymore, you're their daughter, so stuff like that. So it's very interesting because just because like for me as like a young woman learning like how to navigate the world, and then they're teaching you these things, which that's all they really know too, right? But then at the same time, the modern world and society here in the United States is also so different from like their like Laos agricultural driven kind of world, where you have to literally work for a living instead of like, oh, you could go earn some money instead. So yeah, that's been my experience. I'm still learning, and I'm kind of a rebel, and I argue back. So I obviously don't fall under like a perfect great daughter-in-law, because I can't cook great, and I I could cook to survive, but it's just it's hard. It's a high standard that they put on Hmong women. So obviously, like for me, I commend people who can have a full-time job and also like come home and do nya duties and whatever that is, and maybe and also like raise their children. It's I think it's like a higher standard that like for Hmong
Yeah.
people itself. Yeah. So
For
You
sure.
you brought something up, like I forgot, like as a daughter, there's like this like date where they stop being your parents technically on paper, or whatever. Like when you get married, like technically they're hands off. And so like back in the old country, when people got married young, like your time is limited. So I think that's some of the residue from the old practices, where it's just like the moment you get married, like I don't have a way to you anymore. That cell phones didn't
yes.
exist back then.
Yeah.
Facebook didn't exist back
Mhm.
then, and like just there's like this new relationship. Thankfully, I think it's a good thing. Like there's this new relationship where even some nyas where daughters when they get married they still have that connection with their parents. I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus kind of what our parents went through. Yeah.
Right. No, I agree because they could also have that whole like, oh, okay, let's see, why is your so my nieces are over apparently. Anyways, and my dog is like now wanting to go outside.
I can
But-
hear her scratching the door.
My point though is it's kind of like, yes, to be a respectful give me a second.
Was on intermission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
Kanye.
I forgot.
Sorry.
I forgot about that. Yeah, because as a guy, we don't ever lose that.
Yeah.
We never lose that.
Yeah.
Because I know that was kind of big with when we got married. I know my in-laws were like, "Hey, we're not giving her away. Like,
Yeah, they were like,
we don't. Yeah, we want to gain you as
yeah.
as a son." And I was like,
Aw.
"Oh,
"You
dope."
joke he married in my family."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Like, thankfully, my parents didn't say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I
If
think
we were
it's
honest, I haven't
dynamic.
we haven't had a home cooked meal on this side. Home cooked from this home like dinner for a while. Like mom's always got dinner ready.
All right, cool. So,
Oh.
Yes.
Well, what I was gonna say earlier is that like yes, back then in the old country where it's kind of like as soon as you go over there to like get married and you move into a new family, right? Like now you're their daughter, so it's kind of like why is she putting ideas into your head now because you're our person, so it's kind of like frowned upon to be like why is your mom talking to you and guiding you? So in a way, I
Yeah.
guess now like I guess our parents feel like, oh, our time is limited to
Mhm.
teaching and giving you guidance on how to be a good nya, right? Because like once you
Right.
become, that person, but again, that idea of like, hey, my life is not just to like become, a nya. So I think a lot of like if we're raised in like the traditional way, finding that like identity where we're also okay, and it's like, hey, mom and dad, like I don't know, I don't want to just like get married because you want me to, and being okay with that.
For sure. Sure. All right. Anyone else want to add anything? We're coming up on the hour, and so maybe
I did want to
Yeah, go.
say like I don't I this is a deeper topic, but in terms of like self-worth, um the traditional Hmong house that I'm looking at isn't great for building your self-worth. And so
No.
you all seem like you're pretty level-headed and pretty and strong-willed in terms of your self-worth. So I don't know where y'all got that from, but if y'all wanted to unpack that, because I know
Mm.
growing up it was a little tough in terms of seeing worth in myself under these conditions.
Yeah. Okay, that is a really good question because I feel like me and my sisters, we are so different in like our confidence level and our confidence level to be true to ourselves. Like you can see, like I can clearly see that my older sister, she's very traditional. Even though we have the
Yes.
same parents, she is like she would do whatever my parents say or whatever the elderly people say, even if it hurts her.
Mhm.
But for me, it's like a non-starter because they know I'm gonna shut that down immediately. And so like I feel like it's also like the American influence that
Yeah.
plays a big role in all of
Mhm.
this.
Yeah.
Because like my sisters like also went to college too. So it's not like I can't say it's just all because of like education, but like
Right.
maybe that does play into it. I also went away for school.
Mhm.
It's also the timing in which I was also raised. Like my sister when she came like she wasn't born in the US. And so she went through high school and all of that during a time where there was less, like, I guess, mainstream American media influence on them, whereas I was like raised by the television, right? Like, so I watched a lot of American television, movies, and went to like elementary school with predominantly white folks. And so, it's like kind of like you also absorb your environment as well, and that influences you. So I think that that also played a lot into me having, being able to advocate for myself more.
Yeah. I'll say for me, yeah, oftentimes it's kind of like that self-sacrificing where it's like, oh, your own like ideas for like the whole of everyone. But I think for me it was like starting in high school and then, leading on to like later on my college experience. But I was doing a couple sports in high school. And obviously, kind of when you do sports, it really does build self-confidence because I didn't really have that self-confidence. But if you're gonna go compete, whether it's like a small or a big thing, like you really have to like go out there and you're gonna like go, I don't know, run, play badminton against someone, whatever the situation is. Like it's like a real situation. So you gain confidence from these. And in those experiences, I found contradictory with like with what my parents are telling me because they were saying like, oh no, like don't go do these things, you may get injured. And I'm like, but I'm enjoying this, they're like, oh yeah, just go home right after like school, and come home and do your homework and chores. But then I didn't listen to them, and I'm like, I thought you wanted me to stay in school. And I think it was just pushing the limits a little bit, like little by little, and you're like, oh, okay, like it's not that bad. Whereas like some of my siblings, like the older ones, kind of like what Victoria was referring to, is they always listen kind of like to what my parents were saying. And it was kind of like until we kind of like broke the mold, right? To say, I'm going to do a little bit differently from what you're telling me to. And then your parents are also learning and they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I think it's just kind of like you keep pushing some of these limits and you're like, oh, okay, look, there's like another option. And it's not necessarily bad. It's actually better, and then your parents are learning, you're learning. And then, so yeah, for me, I think it was the sports and then going off to college and then just being away from the nuclear family itself made me appreciate like my family so much more too, to understand like, oh, wow, like this is important. So all that to say, it's like, okay, it's good. So yeah, it was frustrating learning the Hmong like cultural things. You're like, but then later on now I'm like, no, it's not necessarily it's just really to survive, how to be an adult, essentially. But in their terms, it's like, oh, okay, you adult and then you get married and you become like, that's what it is. But essentially it's just to survive. Yeah.
That's well said. I'll answer real quick before we sign off too. I know we're coming on the hour. I think similar to both of you, I'm the youngest of 6. So I think by the time it got to me, my parents were a little bit less strict. And so I think that played some in helping me find more value in myself and not do exactly everything that my parents wanted me to do. And I think going to college and I know it was kind of hard for them at first, but they're like, okay, because I'm also lucky. I think my parents very they value that, and a part of them, my dad has always shown me that if you want something, go and get it. Like you can work hard, you can get it. And so I think he also instilled that in me. So I'm like, okay, I want to also be like a modern woman, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go away to college. I'm not gonna live at home. And then I know it was big on their part to accept it because they could have easily like really fought harder, but I think a part of them, like they just wanted to fight a little bit, like, oh no, just go closer home, but really they're like, okay. So I think they're also meeting me halfway, or maybe I don't know, halfway, but they're also meeting me somewhere along there, and I think that really helped. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I have one follow-up. So do you feel like being a daughter played a role in how your parents viewed you going away for college?
I think so.
Like, did it influence that, or like the feedback that they gave you?
I think they were I think as a daughter, they were scared for me, and also they're scared for, I think now that we have a daughter, I get that too. I understand why they're scared for me. Um, but I
Mhm.
think my parents didn't really like similar to what you're saying, Victoria. They didn't really show that they highly value the boys in the family versus the daughter. Like there was some traditional thing going on, but they've always shown that they value this whether or not we're their daughter or their sons. And so I think to a certain extent it did, but I think it's just or like safety. I think for them it was more they're worried for my
Mhm.
safety with me going away. Yeah.
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 Mine was similar to her. Also, like in my family, like there weren't that many people. I think I might have been like the second, well, maybe the first five in our like extended family away. And so like some of them they did well, and then some of them they literally just went and partied, because we they get that freedom. They just went and party, and one of them got like pregnant, and so now they just have like 2 to 3 case studies to go off on, right?
Mhm.
So they were just worried like, oh my gosh, like what if she goes and then like she gets pregnant, or she gets like runs off with like a man or whatever it is. I think is overall, like Chow said, that protectiveness factor, but overall the trust and like, okay, we're just gonna have to let her go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I guess for me, I feel like I don't know if it was I didn't feel like it was because I was a girl. I think the hesitation was more around like my brother had gone away for school and he has struggled financially. And so my parents were worried that like I would struggle financially as well.
Right.
And also, like, I've always kind of had a habit of not telling my parents what I'm gonna do. And so, like, I never told them I was like applying for school, like
Uh-huh.
outside of Fresno. I never told them like what major I was gonna do. Like, I was always that kid that like when once I got to the destination, then I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm here. And so I think for my parents, they were like shocked to hear that like I was even moving away for school when like that was never ever discussed.
Mhm.
So I think for them, their hesitation was more like just, hey, we've like Chloe, you said the one case study they had wasn't a great experience. So they were like, we're not trying to do that again. But I kind of just like didn't care and said that don't worry about it. I got it. And, just kind of made it happen. And so there wasn't much that like they are also the type that they know that like if they say too much, then like they also don't want to push their kids away.
Yeah.
So they kind of just like let me be. And
Yeah.
so I mean, luckily it all worked out and they're really happy that like now they're really like happy that I went away for school because then like gave
Yeah.
me opportunities that I would have never gotten if I stayed in Fresno, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think mine was like less because I was a girl, but more so that it was just like a shock factor for them, the whole concept. Yeah.
How
Billy,
about you,
anything
Bailey?
you want to add? I know that we're talking about just being girls, but like I know you also like went away for college, and how did your parents perceive that?
No, nothing really. Nothing to add to this conversation. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we are like a little bit past the hour, so maybe we go ahead and wrap it up. But I thought that we can wrap it up by doing another closing out with the round table of like any key takeaways we had from this episode. And so yeah. Hua, you want to start?
Okay. Yeah, I'll say that I think from our conversation, it really comes to like, us, feeling that authentic self. Even when we were trying to discover ourselves, we were true to ourselves, or like pushing some limits. And in turn, we also pushed our parents' limits, right? For them to say, like,
Right.
trust me, trust
Mhm.
us, that you're raising me to go out in the world. So in turn, it's like an experiment for all of us. So,
Mm,
being our true authentic selves and finding that identity for who and what we are, like Hmong Americans. So for my experience, it's been very interesting just because I was one of the first ones to go to college. And then, I'm not doing the natural kind of like Hmong girl where I got married, and then like, so now it's like, oh, okay, what do I do next? I don't know, because usually the next step for me is I get married, but I don't I don't know. So yeah, being your true authentic self and not settling for the norm.
Love that. I would say, I think for me, like a takeaway is that it was just interesting to hear how like the three of us went through similar like path, but then had like such different like takes on it. Like, because I think like for us to go away for college, at the time that we did was still really like rare for like Hmong people, right? Especially like a girl. And we all grew up in a time where like the traditions are like strong. I feel like now there's less pressure. But we all grew up in a time where the traditions were really strong. But we are also heavily influenced by like American culture as well. And so, yeah, it's just been interesting to hear how we kind of all had similar paths and how we got to college and went through our professional careers. And then, how each of us had different takes on what our parents had like taught us about what it means to be like a Hmong woman or a Hmong girl. So, yeah. Billy, Chow, anything to add?
No, that was very well said, you two. Yeah.
Well, I mean, something that I thought about when Chow was talking was just kind of her relationship with her dad, and then my relationship with my grandfather, where like he really speaks life into her, but also I see him talk about like our daughter, and like when she's going through stuff, he's like, oh, she's just working through it, or like she'll be
Mm.
frustrated with something, and then like he almost spins it, but he doesn't mean to spin it. He just sees the goodness in her, and he's someone, no, she's really smart, like and then he talks about how she's smart, and like how important that is. I know I had some issues when I was a kid, and I know my grandfather was like that. Someone I talked about like how I was stubborn when I was young, and he's like, no, stubborn, that's good, because that'll lead him when he becomes like an adult. That'll lead him so that he can like help him lead later on in life, and it was just a way to like to spin something that like was looking not so great about me. But yeah, just being reminded how important that is in terms of upbringing children who will one day turn into adults, and hopefully capable human beings. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. I think that's it. If we don't have anything else to add, thanks everyone for listening in. And that's it from us. Bye.